If they call you proud, tell them poverty is humble enough for everybody.
Next time, look where you're going, filthy old beggar.
Kindness that depends on identity is not kindness. It is calculation.
African Karma Stories.
Lagos afternoon heat shimmered above the busy road like invisible fire. Cars honked, okadas weaved through traffic, hawkers shouted the prices of plantain chips and bottled water. At the edge of the sidewalk, near a bus stop, sat an old woman on a low wooden stool. Her wrapper was faded, her head tie frayed. In front of her, a plastic cup held a few coins. She held it out with gnarled hands as people rushed past. "God bless you, my child," she murmured to anyone who glanced her way. "Anything small, may your pocket never dry." Most ignored her. Some dropped a coin without looking. She smiled at each one as if they had given her gold. Then, from the doors of a shiny boutique, Lisa stepped out. Heels clicking, sunglasses perched on her nose, designer bag swinging. Her dress hugged her body perfectly. Her hair was laid, nails manicured, lips painted a deep red. She checked her phone, admiring the selfie she had just posted. Caption, "Soft life only. I refuse to suffer what my parents suffered." As she strutted toward the curb to call a ride, the crowd parted for her. The street seemed to bend around her confidence. The old woman shifted her stool, trying to avoid the rushing bodies. A motorbike suddenly swerved too close, spraying the roadside with dirty water. The old woman flinched, struggling to keep her balance. Her foot slipped on a wet patch. She stumbled forward, straight into Lisa's path. Lisa's shopping bag jerked from her hand, tumbling to the ground. A new pair of shoes spilled out on the dusty pavement. For a heartbeat, everything froze. Then Lisa's face twisted. "Hey," she screamed. "Are you blind?" The old woman clasped her hands together. "I'm so sorry, my daughter," she gasped. "The bike, don't touch me," Lisa shrieked, jerking her arm away as the woman reached out to steady her. "Look at my dress. Do you know how much this costs?" People began to gather. A street vendor nearby lifted his phone, already sensing drama. "Mama, just move small," someone murmured. "Let the girl calm down." But Lisa's voice only rose. "You beg on the road like this and still cause trouble," she yelled. "Is it by force to be useless?" The old woman's eyes glistened with shame. "I said I am sorry," she whispered. "Please forgive." The words died as Lisa's hand flew. The slap cracked across the old woman's cheek, sharp and loud. Gasps erupted from the crowd. The woman staggered, nearly falling. Her plastic cup spilled. Coins scattered across the pavement, tinkling like broken promises. Phones were fully up now, recording from every angle. Lisa glared, chest heaving. "Next time, look where you're going," she spat. "Filthy old beggar." The old woman slowly straightened, one hand on her cheek, eyes wet but strangely calm. "God is watching, my daughter," she said softly. "One day you will understand." Lisa rolled her eyes, snatched up her shopping bag, and stormed away, high heels stabbing the ground. The camera zoomed in on the old woman's face. A mix of pain and something else, almost like pity. Freeze frame. The narrator's voice cuts in. She thought she had slapped a nobody. She didn't know the palm she used on the street was about to fall on her own life. The image dissolves, taking us back to the days before the slap. Earlier that week, the city looked shinier through Lisa's lens. Inside a trendy cafe with white walls and hanging plants, she sat at a corner table, phone propped on a mini tripod. A latte with artful foam sat untouched in front of her. "Hey, my darlings," she cooed into the camera, adjusting her hair. "Welcome back to another episode of Soft Life with Lisa. If you're new here, I'm Lisa, God's favorite baby girl. I show you how to upgrade your life, avoid broke energy, and never ever go back to the suffering our parents knew." She lifted the latte delicately, turning it so the logo faced the camera. "Tip of the day," she said, "never apologize for wanting more. If they call you proud, Tell them poverty is humble enough for everybody. She laughed at her own joke. At the next table, a waiter dropped a spoon. It clattered noisily. Lisa's smile vanished. Can you people be careful? She snapped at him. This is not buka. Some of us are recording content. The waiter mumbled an apology, picking up the spoon. She turned back to her phone, smile instantly restored. Anyway, she continued, we're getting ready for something big at work. Promotion loading. She winked. Pray for your girl, but also remember, grace without effort is just wishful thinking. She ended the recording, saved it, and immediately began editing. On the screen, she looked flawless. No trace of the sharp tongue that had just lashed the waiter. Later, she uploaded the clip. Within minutes, likes and heart emojis flooded in. Yes, queen. Teach us. Soft life or nothing. She smiled, basking in the digital worship. In her world, she was not just Lisa. She was an upgrade from everything she had been before. And she swore never to look back. That evening, Lisa's apartment glowed with warm light. It was small but stylish. Faux fur rug, framed quotes on the wall, ring light in the corner. Yet if you looked closely, traces of another life lingered. A faded family photo in a cheap frame, a scar on the wall where old paint peeked through. Her mother, Mama Joy, sat on the couch, untying a worn headscarf. She looked around with wonder. Your place is fine, oh, she said. When I remember the one room, face me, face you, we used to squeeze inside. Lisa smiled absently, scrolling through her notifications. We thank God, she replied. I told you I won't die in poverty. Mama Joy's gaze fell on a framed picture of Lisa as a teenager, standing in front of a wooden table piled with tomatoes. You remember those days? She asked. Mark it from morning till night. Your hands always red from pepper. Lisa winced as if the memory itself smelled. I try not to, she said. Those days were embarrassing. Mama Joy chuckled softly. Embarrassing, yet they paid your first school fees, she reminded her. Don't despise your ladder when you reach the roof, my daughter. Lisa sighed. Mummy, please, she groaned. I hear this speech every time. I know we struggled. That's why I'm working hard, so we never go back there. All this talk about ladder, let the ladder rest. Her mother's face grew serious. Lisa, she said quietly, never forget where God brought you from. Pride is like sugar, sweet in the mouth, bitter in the stomach. Lisa rolled her eyes. Pride, pride, she muttered. If poor people had a little more pride, maybe they wouldn't allow life to squeeze them like that. Mama Joy shook her head sadly. You speak like someone who has forgotten hunger, she said. May life never remind you in a way you cannot handle. Lisa forced a laugh. Amen, but hunger cannot find me, she boasted. I've locked that chapter. In the corner, the old family photo seemed to watch her, silent and unimpressed. The next day, the city moved at full speed. At the same busy street we saw in the Hook, the old woman, known on the road as Madam Koko, sat on her usual spot. She arranged her wrapper neatly, back straighter than most would expect from someone her age. Her plastic cup sat in front of her, a few coins glittering inside. A young boy with torn shirt hovered nearby, empty plastic bottle in his hand. Mama, today is slow, he complained. Nobody is giving. Mama Koko smiled. Patience, Kofi, she said. Sun is still high. Hearts are still waking up. A woman in a suit rushed by, heels clacking. Good morning, my daughter, Mama called gently. Anything small for bread? The woman shook her head without looking, but the child's stomach growled loudly. Mama reached into her cup, took 2 coins, and pressed them into his hand. Go and share bread with your brothers, she said. I ate yesterday. They may not have. Kofi's eyes widened. But, Mama, this is your own, she tapped his forehead lightly. God gave me enough years, she said. Let him give you enough food. He ran off, grinning. A passerby, a street vendor selling oranges, shook his head. Mama Koko, you are the only beggar I know who gives more than she receives, he said. She chuckled. If I keep everything, My hands will be too full for tomorrow's blessings, she answered. Her accent was crisp, her English unexpectedly refined. The vendor raised an eyebrow. You don't sound like ordinary person, he remarked. Sometimes I wonder how you ended up here. She looked at the traffic, eyes distant. Life is long, she replied simply. Sometimes you must walk on the ground to see who is looking up instead of down. He didn't understand. He didn't need to. For now, she was just the old woman on the corner. Soft voice, gentle smile, plastic cup. Only heaven and a few trusted people knew that behind the wrinkles and ragged clothes was a name whispered in boardrooms. Madam Koko Mensa. Later that week, Lisa walked briskly down that same street. High heels tapping, handbag expensive enough to pay 3 months of rent in her old neighborhood. Her phone buzzed with messages. She glanced at them, smiling at the compliments under her latest post. As she neared the bus stop, Mama Koko lifted her eyes. My daughter, she called kindly. Good afternoon. Can you spare a coin? May God multiply it for you. Lisa barely looked up. She fished a 20 naira coin from her purse, then deliberately dropped it on the ground in front of the old woman. Here, she said, voice dripping disdain. At least bend down so you'll burn some calories. Begging is the only job you people know. Some onlookers frowned. Koko looked at the coin on the dusty ground, then at Lisa. She didn't react with anger. Instead, she slowly bent down, pain visible in her joints, and picked up the coin. Thank you, my daughter, she said, voice still gentle. May God give you reason never to sit where I am sitting. Lisa scoffed. No need, she replied. I've already given him reason. As she walked away, a fruit seller muttered under his breath. These small girls with cheap wigs think they own the world, he grumbled. Mama Koko only smiled faintly. Leave her, she said. God is still writing her story. Up on the 10th floor of a glass office building, the AC fought valiantly against the Lagos heat. Lisa sat at her desk in an open-plan office, typing furiously on her computer. Her colleagues whispered around her. HR posted the internal memo, one said. They're creating new role for CSR director. Big money, big title. David, a tall, kind-eyed man in a simple shirt and tie, approached Lisa's desk with a folder in hand. Hey, he greeted, smiling. You're working like you own the company. She laughed. Maybe I will, she replied. One step at a time. He placed a small lunchbox on her table. I noticed you skipped lunch again, he said. So I brought you jollof from the canteen. She softened. Thank you, she said. What would I do without you? He shrugged. Probably faint in front of your computer, he teased. They both laughed. David glanced at the ring on her finger, a modest but carefully chosen piece of jewelry. I still can't believe we're getting married next year, he said softly. Sometimes I look at you and think, God did this for me. She smiled, playing with the ring. Better hold me tight before someone upgrades me. She joked. He shook his head. I chose you because of your heart, he said sincerely. You care about people. Even before this job, you were always posting about helping the poor, giving to charity. That's why I recommended you to be part of the CSR team. She blinked. You did? She asked. Of course, he replied. When we launched the new foundation with that anonymous investor, I think you'll be a strong candidate for CSR director. Just keep showing them that good heart I know you have. His trust in her goodness made her uncomfortable for a split second, but she brushed it off. Don't worry, she said brightly. I'll make you proud. He walked away, humming. She opened her Instagram page and scrolled quickly past a photo of herself handing small bags of food to children during a one-time outreach she had done mostly for content. Her caption had read, We rise by lifting others. Hashtag blessed to be a blessing. For David, that image was proof of pure kindness. For Lisa, it had been just another prop. That afternoon, the staff gathered in the boardroom. Banners on the wall read, Koko Hope Partnership Announcement, Transforming Lives Together. The CEO, Mr. Adebayo, stood at the head of the table. Team, he began, we are on the verge of something big. An anonymous philanthropist, operating under the name Koko Hope Foundation, has chosen our company as primary partner for a multi-million-dollar social impact project. Murmurs of excitement rippled through the room. This partnership, he continued, will fund community centers, shelters, and scholarships across West Africa. We will be the face of implementation. He paused. The investor has remained anonymous for years, he said. But at our launch event next month, they will finally reveal their identity. Whispers grew louder. Adebayo smiled. To lead this project, he added, we will create a new position, Corporate Social Responsibility Director. This person must be not only competent, but compassionate, someone who genuinely cares for the marginalized. Lisa's heart raced. Her colleagues glanced at her knowingly. She had built an image of being the charity girl in the office. David stood up beside the CEO. As CSR coordinator, he said, I'll be working closely with the new director. I've seen many of you show heart, but one person in particular has already demonstrated passion for social causes. He looked at Lisa and smiled. She smiled back, heat of pride blooming in her chest. If that investor sees what I want them to see, she thought, that role will be mine. None of them knew the investor was already seeing more than their LinkedIn profiles. Someone was watching from the ground up. Late one afternoon, the busy street was quieter as the sun began to sink. Mama Koko gathered her few things into a small bag, joints aching from sitting all day. She stood slowly, leaning on her cane. Around the corner, a black SUV idled in the shade. A driver in a simple shirt stepped out when he saw her. Madam, he said respectfully, opening the back door, are you ready? She smiled. Only for a short while, she replied. I still have people to meet tomorrow. He handed her an envelope. Reports from the shelters, he said, and the updated account statements. Board is asking when you will reveal your identity to the public. She chuckled softly. Always in a hurry, she murmured. Tell them soon, but not before I finish this small assignment. She slid into the back seat. Inside the car, she removed her head tie and wiped her face with a clean cloth. Without the dust and shadows, her features looked different, still aged, but dignified, eyes sharp and clear. The driver spoke again. Those people at the company were very happy when you chose them. Madam, he said, are you sure they deserve it? Her gaze drifted back toward the street. That's what I'm still measuring, she answered. How they treat a person they think is useless tells me more than any proposal slide. He nodded, understanding. She glanced at the envelope. If they pass, she said quietly, I will give them resources to change many lives. And if they fail? He asked. She sighed. Then we will find others, she replied. There is no shortage of poor people who need help, but there is a shortage of hearts that know how to handle power. The car pulled away. To the pedestrians, she was just another passenger. They did not know that the woman who had sat on a wooden stool begging coins all day was also the woman many CEOs prayed to impress. A few days later, clouds rolled in thick and heavy over Lagos. Rain began as a drizzle, then turned into a downpour, beating roofs and umbrellas alike. People scrambled for shelter. Lisa, wearing a white blazer and carrying a designer handbag, dashed out of her building, shrieking as raindrops hit her hair. My wig, she cried. I just installed this. She ran toward her parked car by the curb, struggling to shield herself with her bag. Under the small awning near the car, Mama Koko huddled, trying to keep her few belongings dry. Her plastic cup sat on the ground beside her, now half filled with rainwater instead of coins. As Lisa approached, shoes splashing through shallow puddles, she saw the old woman leaning against her car door. Excuse me, she shouted over the rain. What are you doing there? Koko straightened weakly. Sorry, my daughter, she said. Rain came too fast. I will move. Lisa's eyes flashed. Move where? She snapped. Go and stand inside the rain then. Don't lean on my car with your dirty clothes. Do you know how much this paint job costs? The old woman flinched. I just needed small cover, she whispered. My bones. Lisa stepped closer and kicked the plastic cup away. Coins and rainwater scattered across the ground. If you have strength to stand by car, you have strength to work, Lisa scoffed. Stop using pity as business. A few people under nearby umbrellas watched, disapproving. One of them, the orange seller from earlier, grabbed his phone and recorded discreetly. Mama, come to my canopy, he called softly. Leave her. But the old woman bent slowly, gathering her wet coins with shaking fingers. God bless you, she murmured to the orange seller. Everything is test. She glanced once at Lisa, who was hurriedly wiping imaginary dirt from her door. Then she stepped into the rain, letting it soak her fully. As Lisa drove away, tires spraying water, she laughed into her Bluetooth earpiece. You won't believe what happened, she told a friend. One dirty beggar almost turned my car into her sitting room. I nearly died. Her friend giggled. Some people don't know their level, she replied. Lisa smiled, pleased with herself. Behind them, the rain washed the coins clean. The camera lingered on them, glinting faintly under gray skies. On another day, the sun returned, hot and merciless. Lisa met a colleague at the entrance of a sleek shopping mall. They strolled toward the glass doors, chatting about outfits for the upcoming foundation launch. Near the doorway, Mama Koko stood under a small shade, not even holding out her cup, just resting her feet, watching people go by. A young security guard approached her gently. Mama, you know management doesn't like beggars near the entrance, he said apologetically. If Oga sees you, he will shout at me. Koko nodded. I understand, my son, she said kindly. I'm only resting small. I will go soon. As she spoke, Lisa approached, heels tapping. She spotted the old woman, and her face twisted instantly. You again? She exclaimed. Are you following me or what? The guard straightened. Madam, good afternoon, he greeted. Lisa ignored him, jabbing a finger toward Koko. Why is she always here? She demanded. Is this not a respectable mall? What will clients think when they see this kind of creature at the door? The guard shifted nervously. She's just resting, Ma, he said. She is old. I don't care, Lisa cut in sharply. Get her away from here. She's ruining the aesthetic. The guard hesitated, glancing at Koko. Mama, please, he murmured, ashamed. Just move small to the other side. Koko smiled sadly. You're only doing your job, she said, lifting her bag. I won't be the reason they shout at you. As she shuffled away, Lisa tossed her hair. This is why we can't have nice things in this country, she scoffed. Everywhere you turn, one beggar wants to stain your view. When she disappeared into the cool, polished interior of the mall, the guard approached Koko again. I'm sorry, Mama, he whispered. If it were up to me, you could sit by the door all day. She patted his arm. You showed me respect even when you had to push me, she said. Heaven sees the difference between those who obey with humility and those who command with contempt. The guard didn't fully grasp her words. But one day, he would tell people, I used to know that old woman before we saw her on TV. She was never just a beggar. Back at the office, David spread documents across the conference table. Lisa sat opposite, flipping through them quickly. So this is the agenda for the launch night, he said. Speeches, video about the foundation, and finally, the big reveal of the anonymous investor. And I'm doing the welcome address? She asked. He smiled. Yes, he replied. The CEO agreed. Your online presence will help promote the event. People see you as someone who cares about social issues. She hid a smirk. Of course, she said. My followers love charity content. He nodded. I know some people fake it, he said, but not you. Remember when you organized that food drive last Christmas? The photos were beautiful. That's the kind of heart we need leading this. She coughed, flashing back to how more time had been spent arranging plates for photos than feeding people. Still, she nodded solemnly. Helping the less fortunate is my passion, she said. David beamed. I told the CEO that, he replied. He said the investor is very particular about people's character. They've been observing us quietly, whatever that means. This launch will show them who we are. Observing? She repeated, uneasy. From where? He shrugged. Who knows, he said. Rich people have their ways. But you? You'll shine. Just keep being yourself. She smiled tightly. Being myself, she thought, might not be what they need to see. The morning of the slap, Lisa's apartment looked like the aftermath of a small hurricane. Dresses lay strewn across the bed, shoes on the floor, makeup scattered on the vanity. She stood in front of the mirror, practicing. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, she said in a falsely gentle tone. On behalf of my company, it is an honor to welcome you to this night of compassion and change. She checked her reflection. Too stiff, she muttered. Smile more. She tried again, adding a soft smile. Her phone buzzed with a message from David. Remember, Koko Hope rep might be on the streets today for outreach before event. Be yourself, you never know who is watching. She snorted. These rich people and their theatrics, she said. Her mother called from the old neighborhood, voice excited. Lisa, people here are hearing your company on radio, Mama Joy said proudly. They said they're doing big project for the poor. Ah, my daughter, you will help many. Lisa smiled faintly. Amen, Mama, she said. I have meeting, I'll call later. After ending the call, she grabbed her handbag and the shopping list she'd made. New earrings for the event, clutch bag, last-minute touches. As she headed out, she muttered to herself, if investor is on the street, they will see me stepping out of boutique looking good, she said. Not sweating over beggars. That's the energy I want associated with my brand. She locked the door without realizing that the brand she cared so much about was about to be redefined, and not by her. Back on the busy street, the sun glared down mercilessly. Lisa emerged from the boutique with 2 glossy shopping bags, pleased with her purchase. These earrings will blind them, she thought, admiring the reflection in the glass. No one will even remember the investor's name. They'll just say, who is that girl? She stepped onto the sidewalk, eyes on her phone as she checked how many likes her morning post had gathered. Ahead of her, Mama Koko shuffled slowly, feeling the strain of long hours. One of the coins she'd tucked into her wrapper slipped out and rolled across the concrete, glinting. Oh, she gasped, bending down carefully to retrieve it. At that exact moment, Lisa, still staring at her phone, moved forward. Their paths collided. Shopping bags hit pavement, heels wobbled, and Koko, already off balance, stumbled into Lisa's torso. The shoes she had just bought tumbled out of the bag, one sliding dangerously close to an open gutter. Lisa grabbed it just in time, heart pounding. She spun around in fury. You again? She screamed. Are you determined to destroy my things? Koko held up both hands in apology. I'm so sorry, my daughter, she stammered. My coin fell. I didn't see. Do I look like your coin? Lisa snapped. Why are you using my body to look for it? People started to slow down, sensing drama. Nearby, the orange vendor pulled out his phone instinctively. Another bystander followed suit. A taxi driver leaned out of his window. Madam, easy nah, he called. It was mistake. Lisa's eyes flashed. Mistake, she scoffed. These people pretend to fall so they can pickpocket you. Old age doesn't mean innocent. Koko's shoulders sagged. I only wanted to keep small change for food, she said quietly. Forgive me. Lisa stepped closer, voice rising. Your small change is making me late for an important meeting, she yelled. Do you know who I am? I don't work on the street. I don't have time to be wrestling with dirty rags. She shoved Koko's arm. The old woman stumbled, nearly falling. Lisa's anger boiled over. Before anyone could stop her, her hand lashed out. The slap echoed again. This time we see it from multiple phone angles. Koko reeled, collapsing to one knee. Her head tie slipped, revealing gray hair damp with sweat. The crowd gasped. Madam, you went too far, someone shouted. Another person muttered, record her. Let's see if she still feels big online. Lisa pointed a shaking finger at Koko. If you ever come near me again, she hissed, I'll do worse. Koko lifted her head slowly, eyes swimming with tears, but voice steady. May God show you who people really are, she said softly, before it is too late for your heart. Lisa scoffed, grabbed her bags, and stormed off, muttering curses. Behind her, phones captured every second, and social media waited patiently for its next offering. By evening, the city hummed with more than just traffic. In Danfoss, salons, kiosks, and living rooms, people huddled around glowing screens. On the video, the angle was grainy but clear enough. A young woman in a chic dress berating an old beggar, then slapping her so hard her headscarf flew off. The caption on one popular page read, "Can you imagine? See how some so-called big girls treat the poor. Is this the Lagos we are building?" Comments poured in. "Chai, wickedness. God will judge her. Anybody know this girl? Her face looks familiar. Why record instead of helping the old woman? Nigeria is finished." In her apartment, Lisa sat rigid on the couch, phone in hand, watching herself from the outside for the first time. Even though the video was at an angle, her profile, her voice, her gestures were unmistakable to her. Cold fear crawled up her spine. "No one will know it's me," she told herself aloud. Many girls wear this hairstyle. The camera quality is poor. It could be anybody. She refreshed the comments again. Someone had zoomed the video, circled her wristwatch, and written, "Isn't this the same watch that influencer Soft Life Lisa wore last week?" Her heart hammered. She quickly posted a generic tweet. "Remember, not every video online shows the full story. Be slow to judge, quick to love. Hashtag be kind." Then she turned off her phone, as if that could turn off the world. But the world had already taken notice. And the world had a good memory, especially when the face in the video belonged to someone who was about to speak at a charity launch. The next day, the office buzzed louder than usual. In the break room, staff were huddled around a phone. "Have you seen that video?" one asked. "The girl with the slap?" "Yes," another replied. "She looks like she works in this building SEF." David walked in with a file, curious. "What's going on?" he asked. They showed him the clip. He watched silently, jaw tightening, as the chic woman screamed insults and hit the old beggar. "People are heartless," he said quietly. "How can you treat an elderly woman like that?" One coworker joked, "Some people here need to see this and repent." Glancing faintly toward Lisa's empty desk, David frowned. "Let's assume she was having a bad day," another said. "We don't know the full story. Even on the worst day, you don't beat a grandmother in the street," David countered. "Whoever this is, may God soften her heart before life does it the hard way." Later, Lisa slipped into her chair, trying to look casual. "Morning," David greeted her. "You look tired." "Barely slept," she replied. "Deadlines." He nodded. "Have you seen that viral video?" he asked. "The one of the girl and the beggar?" Her pulse spiked. "I've seen too many," she said carefully. "Which one?" He showed her. She forced a laugh. "Everybody is so quick to judge," she said lightly. Maybe the old woman provoked her. Bet people didn't record that. He frowned. "Nothing justifies that level of disrespect," he said firmly. "If this investor we're meeting ever sees this girl, she's finished." Lisa flicked her hair. "Relax," she said. "It could be staged. People do anything for views these days." He studied her face. "It's strange," he murmured. "From side, she does resemble David, please," she cut in, voice sharper than intended. "Do I look like a woman who would slap a grandmother in public?" "Really?" He blinked, taken aback. "No," he said quickly. "That's why it's strange. You're the last person I'd suspect. Forget I said anything." Guilt pricked her like pins. But pride wrapped itself around her, whispering, "He believes you. Just keep smiling." In the boardroom later that week, the atmosphere was electric. Banners with the Coco Hope logo adorned the walls. Staff in branded T-shirts bustled about. Mr. Adebayo addressed everyone. "Tonight is crucial," he reminded them. "Our anonymous investor will reveal themselves. They have supported this company quietly for years. Their decision today could expand our work across the continent." He gestured toward David and Lisa. David will MC, he said. Lisa will give the welcome address. Remember, this investor cares about authenticity. They have been, in their words, observing hearts quietly for some time. Lisa swallowed. Observing how? She wanted to ask. But she kept her expression poised. After the meeting, David touched her arm. Tonight is your night, he said warmly. Just speak from your heart. The rest will follow. She nodded, forcing a smile. Inside, her heart was not what she wanted anyone to hear. That evening, Lisa's apartment was bathed in golden light from the ring lamp. She stood in front of the mirror, zipping up a sleek black gown that hugged her curves elegantly. Her makeup was perfect, hairstyled in soft waves. In the mirror, she practiced her speech again. And we at Adebayo Holdings are honored to partner with Koko Hope Foundation, she recited softly. Because in a world full of noise, kindness remains the most powerful voice. She smiled at her own words. They'll eat this up, she murmured. She picked up her phone and snapped a picture of herself against the backdrop of a fake bookshelf. Caption, off to change the world, one act of kindness at a time. Hashtag giveback, hashtag Koko Hope launch. Likes began to appear instantly. Her mother commented, so proud of you, my daughter. Remember the poor. Lisa scrolled past quickly. She grabbed her clutch and stood at the door, taking one last look around. This is it, she thought. After tonight, I'll be CSR director, brand deals will double, followers will multiply. Nobody will ever connect me to that street drama. She turned off the lights and stepped into the corridor, unaware that the woman she had humiliated was already preparing for a very different kind of unveiling. The ballroom of the high-end hotel glowed with warm amber lights. Round tables draped in white tablecloths held elegant centerpieces. A large banner at the front read, Koko Hope Adebayo Holdings, launching hope. Guests mingled, sipping drinks, exchanging business cards. On stage, a projector screen showed photos of children in refurbished classrooms, women learning trades, smiling faces at community dinners. All projects co-funded by Koko Hope. David adjusted his tie as he stepped up to the microphone. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, he began. My name is David Okoro, and on behalf of Adebayo Holdings, it is my honor to welcome you to this historic night. Polite applause. He spoke sincerely about the company's desire to make impact beyond profits, about the mystery of their anonymous partner who had quietly funded so much already. Then he smiled toward the side of the stage. To open tonight's program, he said, please welcome a woman many of you know, someone whose passion for social change and digital influence has helped us tell our story to the world, our own Lisa. Cheers, especially from younger staff. Lisa walked on stage, every step measured. She looked like everything she wanted the world to believe she was: elegant, compassionate, successful. She smiled at the crowd, heart pounding. Good evening, she said into the mic, voice smooth. Tonight is not about brands or boardrooms. It's about hearts and the lives we can touch when we use what we have to lift those who have nothing. People nodded, impressed. In the back, a woman in a deep blue lace dress sat quietly, hands folded on her lap. No one recognized her yet. Not like this. But her eyes were the same eyes that had watched coins fall into a plastic cup. As the program progressed, videos, testimonies, performances, whispers spread among staff. Has the investor arrived? Did you see anyone come in with security? Who is that elegant old woman in blue? Near the rear entrance, a black SUV pulled up. The same driver from earlier stepped out and opened the door. Mama Koko emerged, no longer in tattered wrapper, but in a dignified lace ensemble. Her head tie was neatly tied, her jewelry understated but clearly expensive. She walked with a polished cane. The hotel manager himself rushed forward. Madam Koko, welcome, he said, bowing slightly. We are honored. She smiled kindly. Thank you, she replied. I hope I am not late. Not at all, he assured her. They are just beginning your introduction. He escorted her in. As she entered the ballroom, a hush seemed to follow her. Not of recognition. Most had never seen her like this, but of instinctive respect. Lisa, seated near the front after her speech, glanced back casually. Her eyes met those of the woman in blue. For a split second, a jolt ran through her. Something about the face seemed familiar, the lines around the eyes, the way she held her chin. She shook it off. No, she thought. It can't be. That beggar would never dress like this. But her palms began to sweat. Mr. Adebayo returned to the stage, excitement in his voice. Tonight, he declared, we finally reveal the face behind Koko Hope. For years, this person has chosen to stay in the shadows, letting the work speak instead of their name. They have funded our schools, our clinics, our skill centers. They have turned anonymous checks into visible change. He spread his arms. Please, rise and welcome the visionary behind Koko Hope Foundation, Madam Koko Mensa. All eyes turned as the woman in blue walked slowly toward the stage, the spotlight catching the silver strands in her hair. Applause thundered. Lisa clapped mechanically, heartbeat roaring in her ears. As Madam Koko reached the top of the steps, the projector displayed photos. Newspaper clippings of her younger self shaking hands with presidents. Images of factories she once owned, then sold to invest in human lives. Headlines like Unknown Investor Saves Failing Hospital and Silent Billionaire Funds Free Schools. Then, one photo appeared on the screen, a candid shot of her sitting on a stool in simple clothes beside a group of street children, smiling gently. Lisa's breath caught. Even under better lighting, the angle, the expression, the soft curve of the jaw, it was unmistakable. Her mind flashed through memories. A plastic cup, gentle voice, rain-soaked wrapper, and the sound of her own hand meeting that face. She gripped her seat. No, she whispered to herself. No, no, no. On stage, Madam Koko reached the podium, placing her hands lightly on either side. Good evening, she said, voice carrying easily. I am Koko Mensa, but some of you may know me by a different image. Her eyes swept the room, pausing briefly on Lisa, who felt as if they pierced right through her expensive gown. Lisa's world tilted. The beggar she had slapped was the billionaire funding the entire event. Madam Koko smiled gently. I built factories once, she began. I wore suits, sat in boardrooms, traveled the world. Then one day, I realized my factories were not healing as many hearts as they could. So I sold many things and started again, with hospitals, schools, shelters. Photos on the screen matched her words. But as the years went by, she continued, I noticed something troubling. We were building walls, but some hearts were still empty. We were feeding stomachs, but some souls remained cruel. She paused. So I decided to leave my office for a while and sit on the street instead. Gasps rustled. Yes, she said, a small smile on her lips. For months, I dressed like a beggar. I sat in front of malls, near offices, by bus stops. Not because I needed coins, but because I needed information. I wanted to see who would look at me as human, and who would consider me staying on their view. She raised a remote. Tonight, she said, I want to show you what I saw. The lights dimmed. The projector flickered. On the screen, the viral video appeared, clearer now, from multiple angles. The crowd saw a stylish young woman shouting at an old beggar, then slapping her viciously. This time, the angle fully revealed Lisa's face. Her voice boomed through the speakers. Don't touch me, you dirty old woman. People in the audience gasped. Several hands flew to mouths. Some whispered, Is that Lisa? David's eyes widened, hurt and disbelief battling on his face. On the screen, the beggar straightened, saying softly, God sees, before the video cut to black. Silence fell. Madam Koko turned slowly toward the audience. I was that old woman, she said simply. All eyes turned to Lisa. Her heart crashed against her ribs. She felt every gaze like a weight pressing down on her shoulders. In that moment, the gown, the makeup, the prepared speeches, all of it felt like flimsy paper in heavy rain. Lisa, the CEO said gently from his seat, voice carrying through the hush, please come forward. Her legs felt like stone. She stood shakily, the room spinning, and walked toward the stage under the weight of 100 eyes and dozens of quietly recording phones. On stage, she stood several feet away from Madam Koko, hands trembling, eyes fixed on the floor. Madam Koko studied her quietly for a long moment. When you looked at me on the street, Koko said, microphone in hand. What did you see? Lisa swallowed, voice barely audible. A beggar, she whispered. And what is a beggar in your mind? Koko asked. Lisa's throat worked. Someone who didn't work hard, she muttered. Someone who is beneath me. Koko nodded slowly. That is what I felt in your slap, she said. Not just anger at a stumble, but deep belief that my life was worth less than your dress. You didn't know my name, my story, my pain, but you felt qualified to judge my value. She turned to the audience. In those same weeks, she continued, I met a security guard who apologized as he moved me from a doorway. I met a street vendor who gave me extra oranges even when he sold few. I met a child who shared his biscuit with me, saying, Grandma, eat too. Some of them barely had enough, but they still found space for kindness. She looked back at Lisa. You had more money than all of them, she said softly. Yet your heart was poorer. Lisa's chin trembled. I'm sorry, she stammered. I didn't know it was you. I thought that I was nobody, Koko finished gently. But that is the point, my daughter. Kindness that depends on identity is not kindness. It is calculation. She took a step closer. I do not stand here to humiliate you, she said, lowering her voice. Humiliation is what you gave me on the street. I stand here to show you, and everyone watching, that titles and dresses mean little when a person's character is empty. She turned to the CEO. I chose this company, she said, because I believe there were people here who truly cared about the vulnerable. Many have proved me right. Some, she glanced at Lisa, have proved me wrong. Lisa's knees shook. She fell to them suddenly, clutching the hem of her gown. I'm sorry, she cried. Please, forgive me. I was stupid. Proud. I thought money made me better. I forgot where I came from. Tears streaked her makeup. The audience watched, some with compassion, some with barely concealed judgment. David sat rigid, heartbreaking. The woman he loved was not the woman she had shown him. The CEO, Mr. Adebayo, rose from his seat and joined them on stage, face grave. Madam Koko, he said, on behalf of this company, I apologize for how one of our staff treated you. We are ashamed. She inclined her head graciously. The shame is hers to carry, she answered. But your response will show whether this company truly stands for what it says. He nodded slowly. He turned to Lisa. Our brand is built on integrity and compassion, he said. Clients trust us because we promise to treat communities with respect. How can we ask for that trust while harboring someone who publicly humiliates the very people we claim to serve? Her sobs quieted to hiccups. Sir, please, she whispered. Give me a chance to change. Don't end my career. He sighed heavily. Change is always possible, he said. But consequences are also part of change. He faced the room. Effective immediately, he announced. Lisa is suspended from her duties. She will not be considered for the CSR director position, nor will she represent this company in any capacity while we review this matter. We will also use this as a learning moment for all staff about humility and ethics. Some nodded in agreement. Others looked away uncomfortably. David stood slowly, eyes filled with pain. He walked to the front of the stage, ring heavy on his finger. Lisa, he said quietly, so only those near the front could hear clearly. When I asked you to marry me, I thought I was choosing a woman whose heart matched her captions. Tears flooded her eyes afresh. David, please, she begged. I can change. I will change. Don't leave me too. He swallowed. I want you to change, he said softly. But not for me. for yourself and for the people you despised. For now, I need to step back. I cannot build a home on a heart I do not know. He slid the ring gently from her finger. Her breath hitched. Maybe, one day, he added, when your kindness is not for the camera, we will talk again. But tonight, I must let you face what you planted. He placed the ring in her palm, closed her fingers around it, and walked away. Madam Koko watched, sadness in her eyes. She touched Lisa's shoulder lightly. Your life is not over, she said, but your old way of living is. What you do after this will decide whether this pain becomes punishment or transformation. Lisa knelt there, tears dripping onto the stage floor. The same floor she had expected to walk as a star. Now she sat on it as a cautionary tale. Days turned into weeks. The internet moved on to other scandals, but the sting remained. Lisa lost followers, brand deals disappeared, some friends stopped calling. Suspension from work left her days empty. But emptiness can be fertile soil. One morning, she woke early, put on a plain t-shirt and jeans, tied her natural hair back, and took a bus, the same kind she used to ride before Uber and Bolt. She got off at the busy street. The sun was just climbing. Hawkers arranged their wares. The familiar chaos hummed. She walked to the spot where she had first dropped a coin on the ground in front of Mama Koko. Koko was already there, back on her stool in simple clothes, cup in front of her. She looked up as footsteps approached. For a moment, neither spoke. Then Lisa dropped to her knees. Onlookers turned. Ah, see that girl, one whispered. Is that not the one from the video? In her hands, Lisa held a small bouquet of flowers and an envelope. Mama, she said, voice trembling, I came to say sorry. Not in hotel with cameras, but here, where I hurt you. Koko studied her quietly. I have been coming every day, Lisa continued, hoping to find you. That night after the event, I could not sleep. Your words, kindness that depends on identity is not kindness, they kept echoing. Tears filled her eyes. I insulted you, she said. I kicked your cup, cursed your existence, slapped you in front of strangers, all because I wanted to feel big. I forgot we used to sleep four in one room. I forgot what hunger feels like. I forgot my mother's hands in the market. I became the kind of person I used to fear. She bowed her head. If you never forgive me, she whispered, I understand. But I needed you to hear that I am sorry, not because you are a rich investor, but because you are human, and I treated you like dirt. Silence. A small crowd gathered. Koko's eyes glistened. What is in the envelope? She asked softly. Lisa held it out with shaking fingers. Money, she admitted. Not to buy forgiveness. I know I cannot. But to support whatever work you do. You fed many while I hoarded. I want to start learning how to open my hands. Koko took the envelope, weighing it, then tucked it away without looking. She placed a wrinkled hand on Lisa's head. Forgiveness is not about who deserves it, she said gently. It is about who needs it. You need it, my daughter. Lisa sobbed. Does that mean? I forgive you, Koko said simply. But forgiveness is not eraser. It is seed. What you do from now will decide what grows. She helped Lisa stand. You will not stay kneeling for me, she added. If you must kneel, kneel for God. Then get up and work. Lisa wiped her face. Tell me how, she pleaded. Tell me where to start. Koko smiled faintly. Come tomorrow to Koko Hope Center, she said. Not in gown, but ready to serve. You will wash plates, sweep floors, listen to stories. Not for camera. For healing. Lisa nodded eagerly through her tears. I'll be there, she vowed. As she walked away, some bystanders snickered. See her, one said. Big girl humbled. Another vendor, the orange seller, simply smiled. Better humbled than hardened, he said. The next weeks painted a different picture of Lisa. At Koko Hope Center, she arrived early, tying on an apron. She scrubbed large cooking pots until her arms ached, served food to lines of homeless people, wiped tables sticky with spilled stew. At first, some recognized her. Not that slap girl, one man muttered. She met their stares head on. Yes, she said. That was me. I did something terrible. I am trying to do better now. Slowly, skepticism turned into curiosity, then respect. One day, a young girl in torn clothes approached her shyly. "Auntie," the girl said, "people online say you are wicked. But you gave me extra bread yesterday. Which one is true?" Lisa knelt to be at her eye level. "Both were true," she answered honestly. "I was wicked. I'm trying to be kind now. Sometimes, we are many things at once. But with God's help, the better parts can grow bigger." The girl hugged her. Madam Koko watched from the doorway, a faint smile on her face. Later, in her office filled with files and photos of past projects, she spoke with David, who had come to deliver some reports. "How is she doing?" he asked, glancing through the glass at Lisa laughing with some children. "She is learning," Koko replied. "She came first as actress, then as student. Now, maybe one day, she will come as teacher." David sighed. "I still care about her," he admitted, "but not the way I did before. Something broke that night." Koko nodded. "Sometimes relationships do not survive the lessons we need," she said. "That is also part of life." He looked at Lisa. "Do you think she will ever be trusted in corporate spaces again?" he asked. Koko smiled slightly. "If she keeps walking this new road," she answered, "one day, people will invite her to speak about how pride can destroy and how humility rebuilds. The world loves perfect stories, but it learns more from redeemed ones." Months later, we see Lisa standing at a small podium in one of the shelters, addressing volunteers. "I used to think kindness was content," she tells them. "Something you film, post, and forget. Then life showed me that people are not props. They are mirrors. How you treat them reflects who you really are." The narrator's voice returns as images roll. Lisa defending a young beggar from a rude driver, calmly but firmly. Lisa visiting her mother with groceries, apologizing for mocking their market past. Mama Joy hugging her tightly, whispering prayers of gratitude. Madam Koko and Lisa working side by side at a donation drive, handing out blankets on a cold night. Lisa slapped an old beggar because she thought poverty erased personhood, the narrator says. She learned, painfully, that destiny does not always walk in designer shoes. Sometimes it sits by the gutter, watching who will look down with disgust and who will bend down with respect. We briefly glimpsed the security guard from the mall now working as supervisor at one of the news centers, proud of his uniform. And what about Madam Koko? The voice continues. She chose to sit where most rich people avoid, not for pity, but for perspective. She knew something many forget. The real test of character is not how we treat those above us, but those we think are below us. The narrator turns toward the listener. "What would you have done if you were Lisa that day on the street?" the voice asks. "Would you have helped or hurried past? And if you once hurt someone weaker than you, is pride still telling you to move on, or will you go back like Lisa did, kneel in the dust, and start again?" The screen fades into a closing montage. A busy street, now featuring a Koko Hope outreach team handing out meals where Koko once begged. Lisa laughing with the orange seller, buying extra fruits to share. Koko sitting in a simple office, signing new partnership papers, her plastic cup from the street now washed and placed on a shelf as a reminder. "Where are you watching from?" the narrator asks softly. "Lagos, Accra, Nairobi, Johannesburg, London, Toronto, New York, a small town nobody spells correctly?" Type your city in the comments. Let's see how far this story has traveled. And if this tale touched something in you. If it reminded you that the person you look down on today may hold a key to your tomorrow. Hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and share this video with someone who needs to hear it. The final shot lingers on Lisa and Madam Koko walking down the street together at dusk. One carrying a bag of food, the other her familiar cane. This time, when people pass them, Lisa's eyes meet theirs with quiet humility. No slap, only the open hands of someone who finally understands.